Right then, well, should we get started? Hi everyone, I'm Jon Spriggs. Some people know me as John the Nice Guy. I've been around this community for quite a long time. About a year or so ago, I became the chair of the board of trustees of a charity that's involved in digital inclusion. So I thought, perfect opportunity, get up in front of a group of really passionate and interested people in technology, talk to you a little bit about what we do. So that's why I'm here today. So, how many of you are tech support for your family? Oh, surprise, surprise. How many of you are the IT guy for, I don't know, your local church, your social centre, your community hall, your library, your council, whatever? So you know that feeling. The internet's broken phone call that could be a full disk. It could be a forgotten password, failed system update. You know all these things that happen quite often to us? And you do it because you're the only person who can, which is great and fantastic. Now, imagine those people that don't have a you. No tech-savvy friend, no relative, no one to clear the cache from your browser or uninstall an app on your phone. Explain why it's running slow. For them, a full disk or a non-working device, it's not an annoyance. It's a brick wall between them and their life. So how about the people who don't have a way to get online? I'm not just talking about a computing device, but how do you connect it to anything? What we're talking about here is digital exclusion. And it's not just about computers, although that's a part of it. It could also be digital poverty, where someone can't afford or access sufficient private or secure connectivity to meet their essential needs. It's an official term from the charity that I work with, but you know. And then there's also digital poverty, where you lack the right tools for the job, whether that's hardware or even just enough of an understanding to do what to do with it once you've got that technology there. So this is quite abstract, though, so let's do a little thought experiment. Imagine you want to get the ticket to go and see something at the theatre, but you have no phone or computer. So how do you know what the price is? Well, you're going to have to travel there to get the price. Okay. So how do you know where you're going? How do you find out? You have to try and figure out your route there. So you're going to guess when the bus is going to come, because they don't tend to put times up on bus stops anymore, because everything's moved to a phone. Okay. Train times. Oh, train times is a bit easier. You can walk into a train station and there's a nice big signage board there. But what happens when the train's cancelled or it doesn't run that day? Okay, it's a bit more annoying. So you've managed to navigate from where you live to where you're going to get the ticket. You might have to pay more because you've not booked online. Or maybe the ticket office isn't open when you get there because, well, everyone buys tickets online these days, don't they? So you might have wasted 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours to get from where you live to where you want to go to buy the ticket, and you might have to come back later that day, or the next day, or in a week's time. You don't know. This is where, what I mentioned before, if you don't have a community sysadmin, or a support person, or a device that even works, just buying a theatre ticket becomes a logistical nightmare. And that means you're taxed in both time and money. But what if it's a bit more critical? What we just went through before was for a theatre ticket. Now apply that friction to something like universal credit, your GP appointment, a job application. If you're digitally disadvantaged, it's not just an inconvenience. It's a barrier to getting your basic rights. It's a bit like indoor bathrooms. We all have them, mostly, I would imagine. But once an outdoor privy was the norm. But today, if someone lived without indoor plumbing, social services would be at the door. Why are we not in the same situation with computing? Anyway, digital access is now the same. It's not a luxury or a choice. It's an essential utility for basic societal engagement. Now, there is a bit of a toxic narrative that some people will see when it comes to this, that people don't try hard enough to get out of their tricky situations. And digital exclusion is just one of these things that they'll pick as that subject. Now, in some cases that might be true. Some people, I'm sure, do not want to do things, and that's fine, that's up to them. But most of the people that PC Refurb, the charity I work with, sees, that's not our experience with them. It's about access to equipment, connectivity, and understanding. We've already established that many of you help your communities on day-to-day tasks, and you've seen how quickly a small issue can turn into a huge disaster that derails even the simplest things. In one case, we met a mother who's on a web-to-work program. It's one of the programs we do to help them get into jobs. And she was determined to get a job, but her phone was out of storage. Now, for us, that's not a disaster. You find an application, you find a document, you delete it, and it's fine. But she didn't know what to do. Apps were crashing, which meant she couldn't access the app she needed to apply for the job. She had no PC. We didn't need to give her any kit. So that's one of the big things that people say is, well, why don't you just give them a computer? We don't need to give them a computer. What we need to do is help her. We gave her the tools to understand what happened and the confidence to fix it for herself, which was great. We helped her clear her phone, and suddenly her app stopped crashing. She was able to organise an interview. She could get her foot in the door, given a chance. And that's all that any of us can really hope for. Now, I mentioned before, I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees for PC Refurb. We take hardware that the corporate world abandons, we refurbish it, and we get it into the hands of those that need it most. But we don't just move boxes. We breathe life into that older hardware by reinstalling the existing operating system if it still has life in it, or we install something like Chrome OS Flex if Windows has left it behind. We consider the communities around the recipients. So whilst we do take the hardware in and we give it out to people, we don't typically have the manpower or the space to be that holding hand for them forever and always. So we have to be cognizant of what they can work with, and that's why we chose Chrome OS Flex. And we try and help them move forwards without our help. It's more than that as well. In some cases, we're able to provide connectivity with SIM cards and routers for those who have got extremely difficult situations. And we help people get the skills they need to be able to use them. Like an older lady whose son insisted repeatedly that she didn't need help with her phone because that was what he was there for. But that's stopping her participating. We also help with refugees who need to navigate the UK benefit system, or the people who are at risk of being scammed by SMS messages. In other cases, we provide confidence to those who can do more. We teach volunteers how to work with computers. They help us take a computer from useless to useful, and then they learn actionable skills that can help them get new jobs. In fact, we had one that just got one this week, which is cool. And we help them develop themselves to improve their existing roles. Now, I mentioned before that we get computers. Now, weirdly, that's often harder than you'd think. Because when we ask companies for kit, we're often kind of disrupting the natural order for how they move kit through. You see, a company will buy an asset, they'll use it for a few years, and then they want to get rid of it. They'll often sell it to a recycler or scrap metal merchant. So the finance team get used to a nice little line that says, we had a piece of kit come in, we used it for 5 years, and then we got money back from it. The IT team will often see anything other than a recycler as a data loss risk. We're trying to change that view at least a little bit. So PC Refurb, again, when you donate equipment to a charity, it can be a business benefit for a social responsibility program, for example. It can also be we can also turn that donation into a tax offset. And if you, like us, we've got the right tooling and the right process in place, we can document how we manage the risks. We can manage the WEEE compliance and data destruction. So we can turn the disposal headache for these organisations into a community asset. But it's really hard getting them to understand that that's not part of what they currently do and that they could be doing something better. Charities on the whole are run on grants and generosity. If you know a foundation, a Tech for Good fund, or a corporate social responsibility lead looking for a high-impact digital inclusion project, let's talk. I'll be at a stand outside. Please feel free to come and speak to me. And I will have my email address on one of the later slides as well. But talking of grants, I'm led to believe that many grants, including the recent government Digital Inclusion Fund programme, they want new projects. They don't really want to know that you'll just keep doing what you've always done, because that doesn't get to be a nice slide on a PowerPoint presentation for their management. They also want justification as well, that once they've finished doing a piece of work, you'll be around to carry it on. It's like a VC fund asking you to keep scaling out and ignoring the foundations underneath. I don't know how many of you have worked for organisations that operate like that. Very few grants recognise that charities of all stripes need to pay for staff, the basic running costs of their organisations. Most of the grants that you can get as a charity don't cover staffing costs. It's got to be to deliver new programs. I'm not asking you to fix this, by the way, I'm just letting you know. I also mentioned before about a government inclusion fund. Now, to qualify for a grant from that, you needed to run a new program, had a few interesting catches to it. The program had to complete within 6 months. Well, that's great for longevity. And the organisation had to pay upfront for the costs of running it. That's not great for a small charity either, because you need to, anyhow. For smaller organisations like us, that's just not possible. And on top of that, part of the struggle is that we're not a fluffy charity. We don't get cats. We don't help horses. We don't typically help little children. It's hard to convince donors that being offline is a fundamental disadvantage, because those who are excluded don't really have a voice to express themselves. Their struggle's easily overlooked, and we have to remind people that no connection, they've got no chance. Now, I've finished selling the idea of why we're useful, what issues we have, but now let's talk about how you could be useful too. So this event is national, if not international in reach, and I want to know about groups who are doing any kind of digital inclusion work. Now, here there's a Google form. I know that not everyone's happy with Google Forms. If you're not comfortable, the QR code on that side is an email address that will come to me. Please do drop me a line if you know about any organisations that are doing anything to do with digital inclusion, whether that's recycling hardware, whether that's providing training, whether that's anything to help, basically. And the reason why I want to know this is there's quite a lot of organisations that do stuff like this, but we all typically are quite isolated. So we might know the next group along, and they might know the next group along from them, but we don't know what's happening. So I'm based in Glossop, which is near Manchester. We don't know what's happening in London. I was told earlier about a group that's down in Southampton. It's brilliant to hear that they're there, but we don't know anything about them. So part of the reason I want to know is that I want to be able to reach out to them and find out what challenges they're having. Because maybe as a group we can all work together, we can collaborate better, and we can go to the government and say, look, this 6-month thing, not really working for us. Can we try and find something better? Charities like PC Refurb, they need your support. If you've got training skills, so maybe you've learned how to do training through work, that'd be great. If you know how to put a computer together, or how to troubleshoot a phone that won't send messages. Find a local group. Again, speak to me if you don't know where there is a group, because hopefully all the rest of you will be telling me where to find all these groups. That'd be great. And you can ask them what you can do to help. If you're in the Tameside, Derbyshire area, and you think you can help us, please use that email link over there again to get in touch with me, because I'll put you in touch with the people that can tell you what we can and can't do. If the company that you work for has a corporate social responsibility program, or they give grants to charities, or if they've got a charitable arm of their as a parent company, please find your local groups and let that CSR or grant team or grant organisation know about that group. If your IT team are getting rid of computers because they don't work with Windows 11, because that's the thing, tell them about your local groups. If you can't find one, again, drop me a line, and I'll see if I can put you in touch with someone. Worst case, maybe we'll get it shipped up to us. Who knows? Even if you can't volunteer today, remember that digital exclusion is a real thing, and without a connection, people genuinely have no chance at the moment. Help us and organisations like us to ensure that no one is left in digital poverty. So here's the link in the middle to the charity that I'm here to represent. As I said again, I'm out in the meeting area, so feel free to come up and talk to us about what we do, what sort of stuff we'll take. The networking forum that I mentioned is here, and my email address, again, is over there on the right. I also mentioned earlier, oh yeah, if you want to come and find me, please do. I'd love to talk about anything, everything to do with refurb, and I've also got one of our tech lead here to answer. Again, I'm chair of the board, so I don't know what happens day to day. Jay's got a bad chance of handling that stuff, but we'll see what we can do to help. So thank you very much. I think, are there any questions? Yes. Oh, hang on. Wait 1 second. We've got a microphone.
John, so firstly, do you know about Restart Project? They have a map of all of the PC donation points around the UK. I did note that you are on that map already in Gloucester. There are 4 others in Manchester.
So again, that's news to me, okay. But
I'll send you a link, but you ought to go to restartproject.org, where to donate your computer. It's all there. The other point is repair cafes would seem a clear linkage in there. I run the Reading Repair Cafe. We get lots of computers from people coming in with similar sorts of problems. We clean them out of all the dust and muck and repair powered connector points that are broken, and sometimes we get software problems as well, like, you know, it won't boot or it won't think. So there should be a sort of linkage there between what you're doing and repair cafes, and there are, again, about 4 or 5 in Manchester.
So that's perfect, and I absolutely agree. That's a great place if you are somebody that has got something that doesn't work. Fantastic. I think the big area that we are trying to address in addition to that is where people don't have the equipment in the first place. So again, repair cafes, fantastic. You know, and again, I'm looking forward to having a better chat with you about that stuff as well, because I think, yeah, that's a really good and really useful thing. But what the problem often for the people that we end up dealing with, as I understand it, and again, I'm not doing the day-to-day stuff, but is that they don't have the thing to start with, or if they have got it, they don't know how to use it. And again, it's all about inclusion. So what you're doing is really helpful, and that's why I want to find out more about what you're doing. So I don't really know where to go from that, but yes, thank you very much for that. Over the back there.
Do you find that the kind of ecosystem of like build your own from a Pi or like an ESP32 or whatever is too overwhelming for the kind of folks that you want to help? And how do you think people, organizations that build stuff for those kinds of things can help you out, if they can?
So I can only really speak from the very limited knowledge that I have of these things. My feeling is that most of the people that we deal with wouldn't know what the letters ESP and 32 strung together actually meant. I come from a generation where playing with computers was fun and interesting, and people did that as a hobby. And you have to be a specific kind of person now to have that as an interest or a hobby. And that's why I was saying, if you're the sort of person that can be the IT support for your community, then yeah, you being able to provide them with a computer from, a Raspberry Pi or something is great. But I don't think most people would even know where to start with that. Most people can barely drive a mobile phone. So, I saw another hand, this gentleman here, and then there's a gentleman there as well.
Hi, John. Thank you for presenting this. I had an idea of I was actually going to do a talk here at OggCamp about my story of adapting Android for my elderly mother. Because my thought was, it's one thing having the device, another thing actually using it effectively. So it's kind of like maybe tangential a little bit to this, but I just wondered if you've come across any initiatives to make things like Android phones, iPhones accessible to people on the digital divide who are new to smartphones and new devices.
I haven't, but again, unfortunately, I hate the fact I keep having to say this. I'm not doing stuff on the day-to-day. What I will say is, Jay, who's at the front here, he and I will be at the desk, and I'd love to have a chat with you about that. So that'd be great. Thank you. Wait 1 second, there's a microphone coming around.
Thanks very much for a very interesting talk. What occurs to me is, like, my mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law, bless her, she was very resistant to the idea of using any computer technology and willfully wanted me, for instance, or my wife, to do everything for her in that respect. So how do you go about communicating to people that this can be useful and etc.?
I think the unfortunate fact of life these days is that you can't really participate in society without having computer access in some way, shape, or form. Now, I think from the way you phrased the question, it sounds like you were already providing the support to that person so that they didn't need to learn how to do it, which is, there is an argument to be made that that is about as selfless as you can be. Speaking slightly from personal experience on that one as well. I think if you don't have that community around you, then people are going to be forced into having to work with computers. I don't know what it's like where you are, but my local GP surgery will not give you an appointment without booking it through their website.
Village, and it has a like a community hall with computers and a leaflet which they distribute and encourage people to come in. But, so do you work with those organizations as well to encourage that?
Yeah, we absolutely do. And in fact, we have a standing presence in a local community centre where we are. We've got computers set up for them. We've got trainers that go in once a week, once every 2 weeks, depends on, once a week, to provide the support to the people that turn up. Now, again, like you were intimating, some people don't have the interest. They might turn up and say, do it for us. there's not much you can do about that. But yes, we absolutely have space and places. We have groups all across, and again, this is purely from where we are, but we have spaces across 2 counties that we will have people come to us and use the spaces that we make available to them to give them the skills to work rather than relying on other people.
And
So.
could we get in touch with you about that?
Please do. I would love. I genuinely, I don't know if it's clear. I love talking to people. So, and there are lots of people here who will absolutely testify to that. So please, if you want to come and speak to me and Jay afterwards, anytime this weekend, we'd love to talk to you. If you want to email me about the groups in your area, please do. If you want to tell them about us, perfect.
Thank you.
I'd love to hear from you. There is a hand at the back, and I'm also conscious we've got about 5 minutes before the end of this slot. So if there are any other questions after that one, please come and find me outside. Like I said, I'd love to talk to you.
Sort of off the back of the last question, my grandmother has been diagnosed with dementia, and again, I'm the family member that's continuing to go out. It's a brilliant initiative that you've got, but have you also thought about not just contacting other organisations like yourself, but maybe other charities like Alzheimer Awareness and Dementia UK in order to work with them on strategies to fill this gap?
So I can't speak to specifically what we have and haven't done because I don't have the day-to-day operational knowledge. But what I will say is we do work quite closely with the charities in our area, and I would like to hope that most of the charities are part of broader groups of charities that work together. I don't really know the right term for how that works. I think, but there are communities around the UK that act as a touch point for other charities to talk to. Now, specifically around larger national charities, I really couldn't speak to how that works, and I would imagine that varies on an area-by-area basis. But again, if you've got any contact in the organisation that you are dealing with Alzheimer's UK or those sorts of groups, and you could ask them who they would go to get help, and then tell me about it, that would be amazing, because I'd love to speak to them and find out, if there's anything that we're doing that they could get help from. If there's anything, and again, part of the reason that I want to get this networking stuff done is because I know that we do several areas of this digital inclusion work, and maybe there's things that we're missing. Again, the dementia side of things, the accessibility side of things, that would be something that I'd need to talk to the team and find out what they're doing around that. But maybe there's things that we're doing that other charities, other groups that are doing digital inclusion work don't know about, aren't aware that are possibilities, that maybe we could bring some of our documentation, some of our processes, some of our procedures, some of the hurdles we've gone through to get there, and kind of help them move forwards as well. Because ultimately, what we're all trying to do is help people. And there's nothing better than helping people. So, right, that's me done. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today.